peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
I do order and direct that the nationwide curfew that is currently in force between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. daily be and is hereby extended for a further 30 days. Fellow Kenyans, by reopening Nairobi, Mombasa, and Mandera, we must be cognizant of the fact that we are all much more at risk than we were when the restrictions were in place. So we must therefore exercise what I call cautious optimism and avoid reckless abandon. I believe that although the path to recovery is rocky and uneven, it is navigable. And that is why I must give two qualifications to this phased reopening. Firstly, the order to reopen is given conditionally. Should the situation deteriorate and pose a challenge to our health infrastructure, we will have to revert back to lockdown. In the next 21 days, we shall study patterns of interactions and the spread of the disease. Any trends that signal a worsening of the pandemic, we will have no choice but to return to lockdown at zero option. Secondly, fellow Kenyans, this order to partially reopen will only bear fruit if we recognize that this exercise is a shared responsibility. It is my intention that not only shall we reopen as we have done now, but we shall go further in our partial reopening as we go forward. However, I must also be clear that that shall be based on the behavior of each and every one of us individually. So therefore, fellow Kenyans, to reopen and to remain open, you must become your brother's keeper. You must become your sister's keeper. While the government will no doubt do its part to achieve this desired wish of remaining open, you, my fellow citizens, must also do what is expected of you personally in order for us to achieve it. This, therefore, is not just a call to reopen our country, but it is also a national call to civic responsibility. And on this, I must further add that civic responsibility is not a demand placed on self or on the individual by the state. It is not a demand that the state can enforce. It is therefore a duty that you individually owe your fellow countrymen for coexisting with them. It is a voluntary act of goodwill expressed to your neighbors in good times and in bad times. It is a civic duty to defend and protect yourself, your family, and the environment that nurtures you. My national call to you all, therefore, is to minimize unnecessary contact and movement. I encourage all Kenyans to consider delaying non-essential up-country travel. But again, that is voluntary. And I encourage you to exercise extreme caution and fidelity to the correct usage of face masks, hand washing, sanitizing, physical and social distancing, and also your individual concern for the health, especially of the elderly and those who have immune depressed systems, people who are much more susceptible to get a serious case of COVID-19. And you must always remember that there can be no unbearable responsibilities in the face of a crisis as we are in. Going further, and again with the advice of the National Security Council and the National Emergency Response Committee on the coronavirus pandemic, I also further order and direct the following phase measures. That places of worship will commence phased reopening for congregational worship and public, that is, individuals can attend worship, in strict conformity with all applicable guidelines and protocols, including the self-regulating guidelines that have been developed by our friends of the Interfaith Council, protocols and guidelines that I have received from them today. And to mention but a few, that the guidelines issued by the Interfaith Council, only a maximum of 100 participants will be allowed at each worship ceremony, which should not take more than an hour. That Sunday schools and madrasas shall continue to remain suspended until further notice, and in-person worship shall not include congregants under the age of 13 or above the age of 58, and shall neither include persons with underlying health conditions. These guidelines will be shared by the Interfaith Council with their colleagues across the country, And we have said that we need for our places of worship to open in a period that does not exceed 3 weeks after they have had the opportunity to fully engage with their colleagues across the country. Number 4, that following consultations with stakeholders in the education sector and cognizant of the surge in the rate of infections across the country, the Ministry of Education shall jointly, with all the stakeholders in the sector, today, but no later than tomorrow, notify the public on the resumption of the 2020 academic calendar for basic education as well as tertiary institutions. Number 5,
good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi, the city of sunshine, the city with a lot to do, World Trade Organization. Here we come again. Kenya goes on trial. Kenya goes on a conquering path. Please, this time give us without any help. The person in the helm, the person who is at the helm, she has the experience. She has worked there before. Give it to her. Let Kenya shine. It's not because of anything, but pure experience on what is supposed to be done. We want no world trade wars, no tariff wars. Good morning. Thank you very much in Mombasa. Thank you very much, our correspondent, Karen Josephs. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Masanga. Good morning, Miriam. Good morning, Professor, and the rest of correspondents. This is Karen Joseph, calling from Mombasa.
Thank you very much. The professor is called Gerard Onyari. Good morning, Professor Gerard Onyari. His name is Gerard, J-A-R-E-D.
Good morning.
Good man. He's also a chaplain.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Masanga, Miriam, and our correspondents from Mombasa.
Thank you. And the other correspondents who want to join in, link in, calling, Narok, County Narok, County Busia, Aloba, where are you? We are waiting for your call. You will be joined in our studios and you will be in the conference call with us while we tackle this subject this morning. Good morning, Miriam Ogutu. Let her bring us the details. Let her test the microphone. Good morning.
A very good morning to you, and a very good morning to Karen there from Mombasa, and a very good morning to Professor Onyari. Professor, I don't know if Doctor has spelled your name right. He said J. Is it not supposed to be G? But I'm just joking. And a very good morning to our viewers, wherever you're watching us from. And indeed...
Yes, Gerard.
Yeah, Gerald.
J-A-R-E-D. Am I wrong?
Gerald is G. I don't know. Professor, good
Is
morning.
it G?
The chairman will call me Gerard.
Yes.
People from Central pronounce my name the way Dr. Masanga is doing, but it is Jared, yeah?
I'm telling you. That's what I thought. All his papers show Gerard.
Gerald with a J. Okay.
A J, yes. There's Gerard with a J, and there is Gerard with
a
G.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I have seen them. Some new people, those who want to .com say Gerard. I'm Gerard. I'm Gerard.
All right. Gerald.
So thank you very much. Let's kickstart the show. I am now being corrected very early in the morning. I am not Chikwera. I'm not Chakwera. I am the real Matanga who fights for Chakwera. Thank you very much, Miriam. Crossover.
All right.
To you.
And indeed,
yes.
Yesterday, Doctor, we saw another high in terms of new cases of COVID-19 here in the country. And as we speak, the numbers right now in Kenya stands at 8,975. The death toll is 169, and recovery right now stands at 2,593. Doctor, we are on a trajectory, an upward trajectory, and as it was already been anticipated by the Ministry of Health. So we're just on the path as they had told us before. Any surprises? Yesterday, another high, over 400 people.
The only surprise is that you should even be more prepared for 1,000 per day. If you love Kenya, 1,000, 400, 500, 600 testing. Because the testing is now picking up. Therefore, it is going to produce huge numbers. You should not be alarmed. These are the people who made contact. They made contact with other people who arrived here. And they went to the villages. Now that last week, the villages were full of quite a number of other things. The 14 days are not yet over. But people have been sneaking to go to the villages. Professor, let me first, before I come to you, sir, always be our last bastion of hope. Let me call Mombasa. The figures yesterday, Karen in Mombasa, did they shock you?
Well, they did shock me, but it's expected, knowing that we're at the peak now, we're headed at the peak, the number is expected to rise. But to say that I'm not shocked is a lie. I'm very shocked. But at the same time, it's expected to happen.
You said
we're at the peak now.
You are one of the advocates of open it now.
Yes, sir.
Is it taking you back to your word?
No, it isn't. It isn't because it's something I expected. I knew it would get to a point where it would just peak and it would peak. So it's not like I didn't expect it. I did expect it. And it's not like I would go back to my word, like I want them to have it closed. No, thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. You don't want anything to close. Let's go. Yes. Thank you very much, my dear. Here we are. Mombasa says we expect it, but let it come out. Professor Nyari.
Yes, Dr. Masanga, you know my stand on this. I was not for the lifting of the lockdown, and I am for pro-life as against economy. People consider the economy, and the numbers are now confirming and what we were saying that we need not to open. But what the numbers also indicate is that the rate at which we are testing is the numbers is high, and if we continue like this, we may be able to cover the larger population, which may give us an indication on how we are going to handle this pandemic. So the more numbers and the more we test and come out with the numbers, it gives us an opportunity to have a strategy on how we are going to attack this pandemic. But the numbers, honestly, they are worrying, and you're looking at the number of beds we have. We are already in a crisis.
We are already in a crisis, indeed, Miriam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what both our panel says. We are already in a crisis, and we shall see in our recommendations when we recommend to the president about the BBI, the Big Four agenda, the legacy. What can we do first now? Do we look for money to finalize the hospitals? Is it a priority now to go for industries? When hospitals, we might not find people there. People might be gone if this thing goes the way it is going. And the way they are telling us that it could be a second wave that could come, that other countries in Europe are experiencing and are preparing for. Is it going to be endemic? If it is endemic, then how do we control it? Back to Miriam.
Yes, indeed, and those are the big questions that indeed the government and also all of us have to grapple with. And something yesterday that was quite a concern to a lot of Kenyans, on page 9 of the Daily Nation, a nurse at the Kenyatta National Hospital has been charged with making fake COVID-19 patients' test reports. Mr. Delavan Enoch Moses was charged alongside the recipient of fraudulent coronavirus free certificates, Mr. Samuel Shikanda Alukwe Omumi, before Milimani Senior Resident Magistrate Sinki and Tobiko. Now, Mr. Moses denied forging 15 COVID-19 reports, alleging the beneficiaries had been tested at the Kenyatta National Hospital Infectious Disease Unit, where they were declared to be free from the virus. So what if these people, he had 15 of them, he had issued with fake certificates that they did not have COVID-19? What if some among them had COVID-19 and they were issued these certificates and they were required to travel, say, as drivers for public service, and right now even at the airport, if you are from 15th of this month, if you are to travel, then you have to present, the certificate of COVID-free. And what challenge and what danger does this pose in the fight against COVID-19?
First of all, if we have this type of documents flowing around, then we might not be able to travel across the world at all. Because documents must be real, and the people of Kenya must have proper documents. If you are boarding a plane with a certificate, that is going to be doubted across where you are going. Then you might not be able to enter that country. And that is one of the dangers that is coming now to haunt us. We are fond of fraud. We Africans, we spoil everything. We used to go to Europe without visa. When I went to Europe, there was no visa. My visa was given at the airport. They looked at your height, your eyes, your breed, your hair, how you have dressed. They ask you whether you have the money, they give you the visa. Now you see what we have gone through. We have now started applying for visa. Even when you give your information, even if however good it is, you don't get it. So if we start forging certificates, Miriam, a nurse of that energy, people will have no confidence. Everybody will go and forge a certificate and say, I am here. That's why some of us are going out like we did yesterday. I went out to sample the hotel, and I want all of you to pick confidence. All Kenyans, wherever you are in the world, in this country, pick confidence. Sample these places. Go there. First, go there alone. Don't take children, but go there alone and see how. Be mindful of your country, your state, and sample some of these places. Are they really opening for the good of the people of Kenya? Please. So let's not have a problem. Let's sample these places for the people of Republic of Kenya. So thank you very much, Miriam. That one, I want to ask Mombasa, what do you say about it? Miriam says there is this nurse on page 9 of the Daily Nation, which I believe you have a copy, who forged the papers, certificates. Your comment.
Let me get it clearly. This doctor for documents.
Yes.
Okay, why did he do this? Because I want to make my own contribution. Let me get it clearly.
Miriam says
the nurse at the Kenyatta National Hospital forged for some patients in his, I think, home in high rise. About 30 of them are COVID-free certificates that were fake and they're not been tested.
Okay.
He just infect without testing. That's in the summary.
Okay.
Unaenda kwa hospitali wanakupatia karatasi. Kumbe hakuna damu, hakuna nose, hakuna saliva, hakuna kitu ichukuliwa kwako. He was arrested yesterday.
Oh, okay. I'm getting it clearly now. I don't know why this nurse did what she did. Could be he had a personal interest, but why would he do that? It's very wrong, and medically that's very wrong. So I think it should just be taken so seriously. It involves lives.
You need him jailed.
Yes, it should be an example to the rest. It's a malpractice.
Like a Waruke.
Exactly.
Waruke has shaken people's spines. I don't think there are people touching the money now.
They're not. People are afraid. And that is what should happen. You know, we need to set an example. Just the way we did it for Waruke.
Yes.
Now, in hospitals, we're involving people's lives here. We should not joke with that. So I think he should be dealt with. He should be an example to the rest. In fact, this is a pandemic. We're all worried. We're all scared. And why would you do that?
Okay.
Not even malaria, not even some other disease, but you're using COVID as a tool. It's not just right.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nyali.
Yes, let me just also pronounce myself on this fake COVID certificate. But before we go for the mongoose which eats the chicken, let us find out where is the chicken. Was it in the forest or was it in their house? Why am I saying so? Let us make
Don't make me laugh, man.
cheaper for people to get these certificates.
Yes.
When you complicate it, that people need to travel, they cannot be able to get this certificate on time. This is what leads to what this nurse is doing. We have discussed corruption. This is the manifestation of the ugly face of corruption. And what I need to do here is we have to talk about integrity. COVID-19 is a question about life and death. The nurse or the health worker who are doing this, they don't know where these people can go. They can go to their relatives, to their parents. So what we need to do is let us make it cheaper, easier for people to access these certificates, so that there is no need for one to fake or to go for shortcuts to have this one being done. So what I'm trying to see there is lack of integrity, corruption at work, and the process of acquiring this certificate. It appears so much tedious, and people need to travel, people need to do this. So let us try to fast track so that we don't give room for people to come up with this kind of fake certificates.
And just to add on what Professor Nyari there you just mentioned, I think you just hit it you hit the nail on the head, because I think over a month ago, when the restaurants, or close to 2 months ago, when the Ministry of Health said some restaurants who have the capability of social distancing and all that, and the hotels could start operating, but after meeting certain measures that have been put in place by the Ministry of Health. And I was watching another news piece run in one of our television stations here, and she was a waiter or something. She works at a restaurant here in the city, and they'd gone where the government had directed them to go to have their test, because they're thinking this is where they'll get their test very fast, because they need the results so that they can resume work. So they were charged 1,000 shillings, and they were supposed to get the results after 72 hours. Over 2 weeks later, the results were not back. They called, nobody was responding to them. So in such an instance, and these are people who have been out of work for 2-3 months, so they even had to struggle to give that 1,000 shillings. And now, a couple of days later, they have not seen the results. The official results are supposed to be out in 72 hours. That was not possible. So things like this will push people, because people need to go back to work, will push people to look for other ways that are not okay. So that, I think we have to now lay lay the responsibility on the doorsteps of Ministry of Health. Your officials have to do right by Kenyans. It's already very difficult for a lot of Kenyans who lost their jobs. So if they come to a place where services are supposed to be efficient and fast and even cheaper, they're charged, the results don't come back in time. So I think the Ministry of Health in that regard, perhaps CS Mutai has a lot to do on the top. They might not be knowing what is happening down here, but there are some scrupulous officials who are really taking advantage of Kenyans. And so for Kenyans who don't want to go through all this tedious corruption and all that, they'd rather just pay on the side, get the fake results, and get back to work. It is not the right way, and it is not the right thing to do, but it is because of the inefficiency that we see with a lot of our public officials. So that is something that the Ministry of Health has to look at very, very seriously, because if that does not happen, then we will negate every gain that we've made against the fight of COVID-19. So, Professor, I agree with you on that. Corruption in the Ministry of Health will lead people to go, get that thing in ways that are not okay and put their lives at risk and the rest of us at risk.
I thank you very much. I think I want to disagree with both of you to create a good argument and lay my ground why. In law, ignorance is not defense. Now I want to bring Professor Onyali here and Miriam. However hard the situation is, you don't go to steal. You don't steal, you don't break the bank because you don't have the money to eat. If we agree the way you people are putting your position, because we want to have a healthy discussion for the public to know. Yes, who is making the things difficult? Is it the ministry? Why is it difficult? Because you should not get it easily. Let's go the other angle. If these certificates are given to everybody without proper scrutiny, is it the efficiency in the Ministry of Health? Then we tackle the efficiency media and the Onyali. If it's the efficiency, let's tackle that. But if it's the strictness of how we obtained this certificate, Jermaine, let's hold it. Let's hold it to that degree that we stick there and hold the people who have broken the law by giving fake certificates responsible. We shouldn't compromise our lives by saying, oh, the certificates are difficult to get. Therefore, some stupid man goes to steal the certificate. No, it shouldn't be so. Nowhere. This should not actually occur in Kenya. Why are they difficult to get? It's because they are very important. Why should they have quality? Because quality is needed outside there where you are going. If they give you a bad certificate, you have spent $9,000 to travel to Europe. And then you reach Heathrow Airport. They tell you, no, you can't enter because your certificate is forged, or we don't recognize the certificate. That is where I am. But I agree. You can.
Miriam,
Doctor, I hear you.
Let me take
I
Dr. Masam on
understand
that.
what he's saying. Yeah, I think he must have missed the point. We are not saying it is okay for people to fake, but if the Ministry of Health does not improve on its efficiency, and if you say 72 hours,
That
can
one,
it be 72 hours?
I am with you.
Yes.
On the question
Correct.
of efficiency, I'm with you. But on the question of encouraging Kenyans...
No, we are not. Please understand
no.
us. We are not.
Yes.
They've broken the law.
Because the ministry is not efficient, we should not go to steal. Jermaine, no. Let's now go for the minister. Let's ask Mutahi Kagwe, why have you made the inefficiency? You claim you talk to us every day. In fact, when you talk to us, Mutahi Kagwe, we become very good. We laugh a bit. Why are you leaving some ministry officials to create chaos in the ministry?
And
to
it's
the
not,
extent.
yes, and it's not the
Yes.
CS that is inefficient. It is a few officials here in the
Miriam?
Ministry of Health. Yes, go ahead, Professor.
Miriam, there was some time in Limuru some years back when people were drinking illicit brew and they had gone blind. And they were saying, even if you put off the rights, we will drink. The question which we need to answer ourselves, why are people faking the documents? And this is a question about life and death. It is simply because these are very vital documents, the way Dr. Masanga puts it, because people need to get this document to go back to work, people need this document to travel. And the process is taking too long. So we are saying that the government should make it
The
possible.
bureaucracy.
That's the point I'm telling. It should
Fine.
be timely, it should be
Yeah,
very,
I'm
it must
sorry.
be efficient, so that
We
people are
agree
not
now.
tempted to fake the documents.
We agree. We agree now.
That is our argument, Dr. Masanga.
Yes, I did not hear the other part. I thought the people were saying.
No, doctor. In fact, I like what this magistrate did.
Yes.
Her name is Sinkinyan Tobiko. She said bail is, of course, a constitutional right. So the court directed Mr. Moses, who was giving these fake certificates, she allowed him a bail of 150,000 Kenya shillings, and the other one who had been given that fake certificate was given a cash bail of 50,000 Kenya shillings, and that person had pleaded that they can only afford 10,000. But you see, so Kenya should understand this is wrong, this is against the law, and there are punitive measures that will be put in place, because you're not just risking your life, you're risking the lives of all the rest of us. So it is not right. But as Professor Onyari there, you posed that question: what will push Kenyans to go, do that? Because this is a matter of life and death. This is COVID-19 is no joke. So for people to even think they can do that and get away, and I don't think they'll do that when they're leaving the country, because when they go to the other countries, they will be tested. They're doing that when they're having movements within the counties here in Nairobi, not outside of Kenya. So they'll be transporting this COVID-19 to the villages now that we are able to travel. So that is something that has to be looked at, and that loophole be sealed. And I know it's very
And I'm told information, medium that has just come in here. I'm told this guy used to work with Kenyatta National Hospital.
Yes, he's a nurse.
Now he was taken to IDU. I don't know what IDU stands for.
That is no. He had said he had faked. I think he got probably the official letterheads from the Kenyatta National Hospital Infectious Disease Unit, so that you couldn't tell whether they're fake or not. Because if you get the official letterhead, people will believe that. So you see, this is a person taking advantage of very poor and suspecting Kenyans who are also colluding. They're also criminals because they're colluding with him. He's not taking advantage of them, but they're colluding to do a criminal act, and both of them should be liable.
I think, Miriam, to add on what you have said, and before Mombasa makes a comment, are you back on air?
Yes, I'm back on air.
Yes, before you make your comment, I believe both of them should be sentenced, no fine. Again, it goes to bail. Have you seen now? Yesterday I told you about the bail. Have you seen now? They are already given the bail. You know that nurse is going to get those papers. Go and forge. Give someone else to forge. Have you seen the problem? Those who think I talk lies, have you seen bail? 150. And the other one said he has 50. Then why were you buying a certificate when you have no 50? Look them inside. Where can honey? In fact, for me, Waruke, if I were the magistrate, I would have cancelled Waruke's bail. I would have even hammered Waruke no appeal. Let them go and struggle in appeal court. Hammer sentence him 7 years. Go and appeal against him.
Yeah, and can these very important services, doctor, like right now, be given maybe for free, like the certificate, or maybe even if it's payment, just a small fee, understanding that Kenyans have been going through a very tough time. And I know the Kenyan government already has a lot of a burden on itself dealing with this COVID-19. But if you can make it more affordable, people will not find a need to go pay lots of monies out there to get the fake ones. If the process is efficient and perhaps the certificate is, even if you have to be charged, but at a minimal price, I think considering the situations Kenyans are, that will discourage people to look for other unscrupulous ways to attain this very important document.
Miriam, before the Mombasa correspondence comes in, we have been discussing about universal health care.
Yes.
We have talked, and my recommendation is that COVID-19 should be treated as a national disaster. In fact, the certificate should be free.
Hold the fire, we are coming. Prof, hold the fire. We are coming there. You are going to lead us in the resolution. Hold it.
So COVID-19 is a national.
Don't spoil it. Today is Friday. Don't spoil it. She has prepared very good food. So, yes, she has prepared good resolutions. You will add that resolution to
Mombasa then.
Obliged, champion. Let's move here. Mombasa, your comment.
Well, the people issuing this certificate should remember that there is what we call urgency.
Yes.
There are situations that you just want them done right away. So as much as these certificates are important, but they should also know that people at times need them as they just need them at that particular time. So they should make the whole process kind of short. And they should be affordable, because if we have them available at an affordable rate, then people will be going around looking for next certificates anyway. So they should consider the urgency. There are times they cannot just wait. You not have, like, your wife who is about to have a CS or is about to have a baby in Nairobi. You just need to go to leave Nairobi like today, and they're asking you to be there for like 72 hours. You call them back, they're not even available. They don't even respond. So they should be accountable.
Oh.
They're there because of that. So they should offer the services that are supposed to be offered on time.
So you are saying you are agreeing with the other two?
I agree with them totally. I agree.
Miriam and Prof.
Yes. And concerning this one who was offered bail, I also agree with you that she should be sentenced. Why? Because people will look for this money and they grab themselves out. We should not give them a second option. Let us deal with these issues that are supposed to deal with. Because people look for money and they get themselves out. So why do we have to give them chances? Somebody else will do the same thing and he or she look for the money and they themselves out. So let's do what's supposed to be done the right way. Let's not give them other chances or thinking they have second chances. We don't have second chances when it involves the lives of people. Let us not give people second chances when it involves the lives of people.
Okay. Thank you very much. Back to you, Miriam. You win the debate. Look, she has even added something very good.
Yes.
Look, even the officials who delayed.
They should be, and that is a
yes,
matter that
the
was
officials in the ministry.
Yes.
I hope Kagwe is listening. Loud it more, Miriam. Kagwe must lock these guys.
CS Kagwe, please save Kenyans from these unscrupulous health officials down there. You might not know what they're doing, and they're just defeating every gain you're trying to make and every effort the Ministry of Health is making in terms of, making sure Kenyans are safe. Down there, they're doing the wrong things. So, CS Kagwe, please, get to see what these people are doing. I know you're busy, but that also is very important. So something else before we leave the COVID.
Before we leave that point, Madam, I want to ask you one question. And I want to ask Mombasa, Professor Nyali, and you. You are Kenyans. What's wrong with you on the question of not believing? David Burare is in hospital, battle off. And today, Miriam, being a Friday, we cannot fail to laugh a bit and also bring sense of humor and then criticize, combine our unfiltered information. People are writing on Twitter that this guy is a comedian when the guy is really dying. Have people gone to the hospital and seen how this guy is? Can we have an official statement coming out? Because yesterday I saw Mutahi Kagwe, failing to tell the world what exactly is going on here. This disease, if you behave normally, it will behave abnormal. So is there abnormality? I don't know who wants to start this one. I want to ask, why are you ever doubting Thomas? Mombasa.
Yes, Dr. Matanga, Miriam, and Professor Jared. I think Kenyans are used to having fake everything not being real. In every aspect, they've not had real situations. They have had and they are told to be. So when you're used to be given the wrong information, you will not even believe it when you're told this is the issue. But I personally believe Robert is being real. He's actually going through COVID. But then it's because I don't blame Kenyans because they're used to having the wrong information. They are told it's A, but then it turns out later on that it's B. There's too much fake, there's too much fakeism, let me call it that way. That people don't believe it when it's real because they're used to being told lies or even fake, they're giving fake information all the time. So we not blame such a person because that is how he has been brought up, or that is how she has been brought up. So when you give something real, it's still like it's not real to that person. So that's what I can say actually.
Yes. Onyari?
Yeah, Dr. Masanga. Sometimes I feel betrayed with the Constitution of Kenya of 2010, where I had a lot of input in terms of writings on what we need to do with our Bill of Rights. In Kenya, we have too much rights with no responsibilities. And this thing with the social media, you know, you were talking about there's a professor of social distancing in Uganda.
Yes.
You say that there are those ones. I am a professor of common sense that I'm a professor of wisdom. I ask yourself before you do something, before you post, don't you post yourself and ask, do I write or don't I write? Do people's the brain cease thinking that you can start writing these things when it comes to question about death? You saw how the cabinet secretary was at pain. He's saying they are asking the question and probably the man is dying in hospital. And that's why I like about the punchline. Before we make any statement, we have got the facts. So I call about Kenyans when it comes to our national values that we must be at it and know what we write and we don't write. Otherwise, sometimes it causes a lot of pain to some people, to some families, even to the victim himself. What if he has in the hospital that you are saying that is pretending? You are killing this kind of person. So Kenyans, I'm calling that we should be very responsible. We should not be writing information on the social media which is unverified. I don't know what people gain, but rights must come with responsibilities. Kenyans, my fellow Kenyans, can we behave in a responsible way?
Okay, Miriam.
Okay.
Before we come to conclusion on this subject.
Burale's issue. I've not been too much on social media because I have a life. I don't spend so much time on social media. But here's the thing: when you post things on social media, personal life or otherwise, expect some criticism. People will agree with you, the others will not agree with you. So if you don't want to attract that kind of energy in your personal life, just don't post anything. But if you post anything, whether good, whether you're in a hospital, whether you're eating, whatever you're doing, people will comment. You've invited people into your personal space, so you have no way of telling people now how to respond or how to comment to that. So if you don't want, like the way I don't want people in my personal life, I post nothing. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you are. Here is it, a bombshell. A caller, not a caller, a viewer who is viewing our show said, I will only call it by name. I will not say the Christian name, but I will say the surname Mungai. She's a lady. She says, in Kenya, we have politicians who steal billions from their people and then fling back a few thousand here and there to win popularity in the name of handouts to the poor Kenyans. Should we bemoan the theft of billions or applaud the handouts of thousands? Which one is lesser evil? I rest my case. She's here, she has sent me, she says, read it to the public. Do we bemoan the theft of the billions that have disappeared, or we applaud the handouts that the deputy president, you know, I had escaped that question, that name, but let me now bring the bombshell to the table. Oh, what the deputy president is giving out. Now, which one is lesser evil, Medium, as you read as our resolution? And we move on to the second topic, please. I will begin with any of you. Which one? Do we applaud the evil of handouts? Do we applaud the stealing? Do we just go to be money? Mtu ameiba, wameiba pesa. Now we are having handouts. Wanakupatia sewing machine, handout. So, but tomorrow you will lack a thread. Sewing machine without thread. Can you sew a cloth? No. Where will you get the thread? There you are. Mombasa.
Yes.
I know you hide away from such questions, but there you are. It's on the table.
Okay, they're all, I wouldn't, what do I say? I wouldn't say the other one is I wouldn't say any of them is, they're all evil. They're all not right.
That's all.
Yeah. They're all, I will not say like one is okay, they're not all right. That's what I can say.
The handouts of tanks from stolen money, is it right or not?
It isn't, and neither is the other one. They're all wrong. No, you can't sin as sin. Okay, Dr. Matanga, Miriam, and Professor Gare, and sin is just a sin. Stealing before God has no much difference with killing. They're all evil.
Okay.
So they're all not right.
Viewer, I think you are hearing Madam Mungai, who asked this question. You are on your way to hospital, but you stopped and you looked. She said she's on our way to hospital, but she wanted us to answer this question. Mombasa says both are evil. Let me go to Miriam. Before I come to the man of God, we have only 5 minutes.
Are you sure you want me to answer that? Let's just go to Professor Onyari.
Yes.
Yes.
Professor.
Dr. Masanga, Dr. Masanga and Miriam, my other life, which I've never told you, you are going to be shocked.
You have too many lives.
I am an actor of politics.
Okay.
An actor.
I have participated in an election, elective positions. And wherever I go to educate people, I talk to them, they get convinced and they feel that I can deliver. But at the end of it, they ask me money. Mzee umetuacha namna gani?
Professor.
And then some tells me, go away, we will not elect you. So what do I want to say? Kenyans, the way they're thinking makes our leaders the rights of the deputy president because he has mastered the thinkings of Kenyans. And there is no need. There are so many forums that if I've helped you, Masanga, I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want anybody to know. I want you to know that I've helped you. My reward comes from heaven. So it is immoral on the part of the president, the deputy president, and is the one who invites this problem. If you are assisting people, let God know you are assisting people. But the moment you keep on giving them machines, washing machines, showing machines, you want to do this, you are carrying money in bags to the church, my goodness, you will only do that one if only you have stolen that money. But if it is money which God has given you and you want to go for him to be glorified, you don't need to show it out. So I agree with you and the Mombasa correspondents that that it is immoral, it is illegal, it is unethical, it's ungodly for you to give people money so that you want to achieve. So this is, but at the end of it, he's a politician, and whichever way he wants to get the votes, so be it. But on my side, I can't support it. I can't go that way.
Okay, thank you very much. For me, Miriam will not answer because she said she leaves it that way. Let me tell you frankly, as much as Professor Onyali said he studied championship, divinity, politics, I studied psychology. On my line of psychology, and with the experience I've had on planet Earth, you give out things, either you have a diminishing return point. I don't know, let the silence even be online in Mombasa. You have heard what I've said?
Yes.
Diminishing return point. Ogenze. A Ugandan would say, Obo genze, Obo wede yo, Kwisha. Kwisha.
Translate that for us.
I am now translating. Kwisha, finito. So, options are finished. Uko kwa line hiyo, you have found, Miguna would call it cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac in French. But in psychology, there is a definition for such. For example, before a person tests you in London hospital, they ask you so many questions so that you are not depressed. Should the results come back, you don't jump from St. Paul's Hospital near Parliament and drop in the River Thames. You stay on the bed because they first sensitized you. If you have gone to a London hospital to check whether you have AIDS or no AIDS, they first, you know, they just don't get a needle. Tomorrow, ukonayo. No. You know what they do? Counseling. First. Who your doctor in charge of counseling? Doctor in charge of distance. Doctor in charge of food and nutrition. Doctor in because you know what? A diminishing point is dangerous. They are going to give you news of no point of return. So, in psychology, you can weigh it this way. And let me bring it home. If you have already gone, you have already said, I have lost everything, I am useless, salt. If salt becomes saltless, you can even give your car out. There are people who behave that way. Unasema, sasa, what am I on planet Earth? Let me leave this Calitro name, this Casimiro name hanging there. That's one strand. The other strand is if you have too much You want to share, give it out, and it doesn't get finished. You can even add to those you gave yesterday, thinking they are not the same people. The other stand is just stubbornness, which is in psychology understood. You are stubborn, you want to show your father. In fact, there are people who can tell their fathers, are you the one who produced me? Haven't you heard of children who tell their fathers like that? You are all parents, Mr. Yes, Miriam, your parent, you are growing up. Your daughter is, your son is growing up. At one stage, the son can say, you, who are you to me? Did you?
He'll be dead.
I regret why.
Doctor, if you say that, he'll be dead the next minute. I don't play those games.
No, I am telling you,
Yes,
no.
yes.
For us who have kids,
Yes.
who have grown, some of us have been told these words. When you are standing in the middle of this guy and the future, the lady is a master's degree, first class degree at O level, A level at the university, no first class degree. You want her to pursue to become a PhD holder. She says, no, Dad, I've found a boyfriend. And I'm not going to, don't talk to me. Miriam, please. And Jared, I know you have the children. Some of them, when in civilized countries like in UK, you can't get a stick and hit them. You just, you know what you do? Put your hand here like this. And look at the child and say,
If I can do that.
That I am telling you.
I can break
telling
this
you
cow.
people, you people here, don't spoil your country ever. Don't ever spoil Kenya. We who have lived in exile for 35 years, some of us suffer humiliation. I'm now telling you from the bottom of my heart. You have never seen your daughter of 18 years old bringing a man whom you look through, you say this one is going to be kondo, mwizi. We atakuwa mwizi huyu. Lakini your daughter tells you, my friend, what's your problem? Honestly, what's your problem? Are you all right? Then you say, Mom, say, okay, talk to me nicely, Dad. You see, have you ever seen that? In Kenya, can it happen? Karen, I believe your teacher, it can't happen. In Kenya, you can tell that kid, please, go and call your father to come tomorrow to school. There's a behavior which is, there no. We have a problem there, Miriam. Someone tells you that, and then you have muzigo, luggage, is seated in your sofa set. Na miguu kama unaangalia miguu na viatu inaonekana hata utaki kumuona. But here is the guy. Here the patterners, they have patterned their lives. So there is that syndrome of diminished return of how, if you have been tested, you could have diminished returns. If you have too much to do, you have a lot to give out. There is, if you are greedy, you have grabbed, and there is more to be grabbed. Or some people grab on patronage. Waindi are bringing things to clean their names. That happens. So, mom, that's where we are. That's where we are. So Mombasa,
Yes, sir.
that is what I wanted to. Why should someone avoid the route of the president to take the goods in the committee and start giving out. What are you looking for? Popularity. So they left both the handouts and the money lost are evil. I agree with you. Thank you. Miriam, I think Changa says a thief is a thief and hateful. The one applauding is stupid person, most reputable, but still can be hated. So, Miriam, I can see Professor Nyari is gone off. Maybe the battery, but he will be back. And we expect Wesonga to come in right now. We expect Wesonga to come in. But thank you very much. If you can now read the resolutions, one of my resolution and one of the resolutions that we saw. There you are, the professor of Max Spencer. And good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. You seem to have been very far, my friend. Hey.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Matsanga.
Okay. Miriam, I think let's make the legacy resolutions, which we shall write it out later on and repeat them as we go next week. How far can the president go? If you have them, madam, just read them for us.
All right. So, of course, this week we looked at President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda, which happens to be the legacy that President Uhuru Kenyatta wants to leave after, he leaves office. He's serving his last term. And the Big Four agenda is an agenda that has been meant to change the lives of Kenyans in terms of food security, universal healthcare, manufacturing, and also affordable housing. So we looked at some of these things and how far the government of Kenya has been doing in terms of realizing some of these things. And I think, Doctor, when we were talking here, all the panelists agreed that food security is the most important. And because of the level of corruption and cartelism that goes on in this very important sector, I think we all agreed that it will be important for President Uhuru Kenyatta to form a special unit that will look at the interest of farmers when the government gives incentives such as fertilizers and other inputs to help our farmers produce better. It never reaches them. So, and this is something that we keep complaining over and over and over, and we never see the end of it. Cartels continue enriching themselves, farmers continue to suffer, and so if they're not empowered, President Uhuru Kenyatta might never realize the dream of living as a food secure Kenya. So I think we all agreed that perhaps he should create a special unit that looks at this, the interest of farmers, and to ensure that Kenya is able to be food secure. The other thing we looked at is healthcare, and of course we traced the success of the universal healthcare and how far it has gone. We've seen a few hospitals have been equipped, and that is there. And also we looked at manufacturing, and I think this was a very interesting debate, and even we wondered, manufacturing creating of job opportunities. Can Kenyans afford to buy food or even pay for the for the NHIF and also afford this housing if they don't have a job? So we also realized manufacturing is very important, and more jobs needs to be realized in this sector. And also just local manufacturing industries is something that should be encouraged, and also some incentives and things like that given, so that to encourage even creativeness even from our young people who right now are suffering from a lack of jobs. If they can be encouraged to be creative in their own ways, and then we set an environment for them, the government sets an environment that will encourage that and support that, that will catapult manufacturing industry in this country to the next level. And affordable housing, of course, we saw, because a lot of Kenyans knew the ones that were at Park Road, but also we saw others that are nearing completion. And so for Kenyans who want to, know how to get a hold of these houses, if you're interested, just go to the website of Boma Yangu and you can see, how you can get a hold of one of these houses if you're interested. So, Doctor, those are just some of the things that we discussed. But I think the biggest resolution and the biggest thing that we all agreed on is perhaps President Uhuru Kenyatta creating a special unit that will oversee all these things are being implemented.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, who is calling?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning too.
Yeah, where are you calling from?
I'm within Nairobi.
You are who?
Hello.
Yes. You are within Nairobi. You want to contribute?
All right. The network there is bad.
All right. Miriam, thank you very much. Somebody seemed to have wanted to contribute and disorganize the whole setup. Our Mombasa correspondent has not even said bye-bye to us. I agree with you. Thank you very much for the resolutions. And one of the most... Hello?
Yes, Ambassador.
Okay, thank you very much. You heard what the Miriam resolutions were.
Yes, I heard some of them.
Thank you very much. One of the outstanding resolutions is the president should create a unit that should go to see the projects.
Yeah.
A special unit of few people trusted who can actually fall on a drop by helicopter anywhere and check on everything that has been done, whether have done nicely or badly. That is what they should do. And that's what the president should do. That is one of the resolutions that we have found out, that we have discovered amongst all this discussion this week. We want to thank the panel. We want to thank you. What is your take? What other thing can you say? And the legacy as we start next week with a new development that will be taking place with another legacy setup of things. Either we discuss economy or we discuss infrastructure, how roads have helped us to bring our goods to Nairobi. How fast can one reach Malindi from Nairobi? How fast can one reach Kwale without passing the ferry? How fast can one go to Malaba without a hassle? Busia without a hassle? Kisumu without a hassle? Those are some of the topics in the legacy trend that we want to highlight, the things that the government has been doing in the last 8 years. Thank you very much, Miriam. God bless you. We look forward to another edition of this nature next week. I want to thank all Diana, Tawish, Karen, Daniel, those who have taken part in this discussion this week. God bless you. The legacy trend returns next week with another topic. God bless you. God bless Africa. God bless Kenya. Your comment?
Okay, my comment here, I'm very glad because we've had to discuss these things in detail. I'm very glad and it's cleared up the air, what we want done and how we want it done. I also would plead with Kenya to support the president in implementing the Big Four agenda. We have good stuff in it, and we've also had other people coming in. If they are supporting him, why shouldn't we support him? I'm going to details later on, but for now, I think we should support the Big Four agenda. That's what I have to say. I have more, but if we have some other time, I will go deeper into that.
Thank you very much. That's quick cut. Daniel.
Yes, Dr. Matsanga, of course, the legacy trend has been on the forefront in highlighting and advocating for President's support in leaving a solid legacy. And of course, we've been calling on Kenyans to support the president. And when you look around in Ngara, when you look around the country from Nanyuki to Nyeri, from Mombasa to Kisumu, things are happening, and a lot of infrastructural development is happening, even here in Nairobi, the CBD. So I think the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta is so much assured. He has the right people supporting him. He has the legacy trend. He has good ministers who are very much committed. And I believe by the time he'll be now vacating office in, later on in 2022, he will have something behind his legacy. That is my parting shot, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you for your organizational skills, meticulous observations, sharp tactics, tacit. I can go on with this English. It is part of me because I was born near the lake.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Madam, for all this, for hosting us. Thank you very much, Professor Onyari, chaplain, who is recruiting me towards Jerusalem.
That's a good route to take. I support that.
Yes. Miriam says she supports you, my recruitment too.
I support that, absolutely.
I second Miriam.
Thank you.
My father, by all the means,
I endorse that message.
My father wanted me to be a bishop. My uncles went and pulled me out. I had even put the mattress on the bed in Bishop Tucker College, which is now Bishop Tucker University, in Mukono in Uganda. Uganda is listening to this. I would have been a very deadly pastor. Because my sermons, my father wanted me to preach during Idi Amin, because it was going to take me only 3 years, actually 3 years to qualify as a reverend. That would have put me in exact danger with the preachers. So my uncles reasoned, you see this guy here, if he becomes a pastor here, they are persecuting pastors in Kampala. This guy will be dead. They stole me out of the dormitory and they took me back to the capital city, Kampala. That's the true story of Friday. Then they haggled which profession I should take. But my father, before he died, before he was abruptly stopped, he told me never to leave one subject, political science. Study it. And until, let me tell you people, when I arrived in exile in the United Kingdom, the first thing I did while people were building houses at home, I went to look for the university, which was free. Hallelujah. I got it. It is here now. This is here. There's no theory you can bring for me and I don't answer it. Bring it. I told you, Amina Mohammed, I was telling her quietly, now this is between me and you, and all the people here. I told her 3 months ago, I said the WTO is looking for a director. When we met, I told her, Mama, this thing is yours. She would say, oh, no, I don't want to go back to cold countries. I said, it's yours. Yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta hammered it home. Let's continue with this debate now, change on the format. She appointed Kenya, fielded a candidate And the candidate is none other than the lady herself, Amina Mohammed. We shall look at it as it comes. But for now, is we want to go and seriously interrogate, and I want to interrogate people. Miriam, just give me guidelines. I want to hammer this thing home. I want to tell Africans, 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, again, Miriam is my witness.
Doctor, you've started with the introduction. Let's just end this and then you come back.
I thought we are going on.
Oh, we continue.
Yes. What do you think,
no,
production?
Production is saying it may not be a good idea. If we start another link, that perhaps will bring in more people, yes. So we
just start another link.
Thank you so much for watching. We shall be back with that very exciting conversation there Doctor has started. Don't go too far.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.